Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. I decided to come back today. So I'm back.
Yes, I'm not solo. I
Yeah.
don't have to sweat buckets. Why am I so big on the screen? As in, why is my head almost cut off? Like I need to sit down?
I don't know, I figured you moved your camera.
I have not moved my camera, but something is odd.
Yeah.
CJP was away for like a week and now he doesn't even remember how to operate OBS.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
I've completely forgotten. Anyway, good morning.
Hey, we got friends from Barcelona.
Yeah,
Hey.
good morning, or good afternoon. I guess evening in Barcelona, yeah. It's a long way away
Well, for
from
them,
here.
it's almost the weekend. They can just
That's right.
go. Yeah, man, we're so lucky.
Yeah, how's your week been?
Mine, it's been busy. Well, thank God that we have the stream so I can see you.
I know, it's been one of those weeks. I don't know.
We haven't spoken the whole week. I feel.
I know.
You know,
Everybody's going to be bored because we're just going to catch up. And this morning we've got Allison from the app registrations group or app registrations team. How are you this morning, Allison? Uh-oh.
Good,
Okay.
good. You know, early but doing well.
Yeah.
Friday.
It is pretty early.
So, the whole show is on the premise that it is too early.
Yeah.
HTTP code 45. We're not joking.
Yeah.
We are committed to the cause. You know.
Yeah, it's been it's not super early for me, luckily, because I'm East Coast. And when we first started the show, Christos was like, "What time do you want to do it?" And I was like, "I don't know, 10 a.m." And he was like, "Okay." I was like, "All right, cool." And sure enough, it ended up being 7 a.m. for him. So we decided we'd move it up a little bit. That way people
Always
can.
check your time zones.
Sacrificing
right.
yourself for the
Exactly.
cause,
Yeah.
Christos.
So
7 a.m.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun to be back, at least for today. Who knows? Lord only knows what next week's going to bring, but it's fun to be back for today. And I think we're gonna go explore B2C custom domains today, which should be a lot of fun because I've done nothing to prepare for it. I looked at how we do it, and it's a bit of a circus, so it's going to be fun to go through it with everybody. So all I did was buy an SSL certificate. I haven't done anything else, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, but before we get there,
If you haven't done any prep work, I've done prep work for other things. So worst comes to worst, we got other things to show.
yeah. So anyway, so Allison, what do you have to show us today?
Yeah, so basically, I'm from like the app registrations team. So basically the app registrations experience in the Azure portal, you know, obviously heavily connected to the whole Microsoft Identity Platform experience. And so we have a couple of things that we wanted to show off today. Basically, it's a smattering of a few interesting features that are essentially prevalent in the app registrations experience. So yeah, if I can take it away, I'd love to show off, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd love to see
yeah,
it.
great.
I
And then
mean,
y'all can see my screen, right?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can. If you can zoom in a little bit, that would be great. But I was going to say, we talk about app registrations non-stop because every time we have to interact with Azure Active Directory or B2C, we have to work with, app registrations. So improving that experience and having new capabilities is always exciting for us.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's exciting for me too, getting some stuff going for y'all. So yeah, basically, I'll start off with kind of the more straightforward one. So just for some context, I'm on the app registrations list here. In case you don't recognize it, zoomed into 200%. Basically, I actually have a few things that are like new and living on this page itself. So the first thing that, Christos actually reached out to me about was we had just shipped kind of we call it an opt-in preview. So basically it's totally live, anybody can access it, but you have to click a banner at the top to opt in, just because some people don't want to necessarily be shoved into a new search paradigm right off the bat. You know, it's 7 a.m. Maybe you don't want to necessarily change how your search works, but it's much better now. I'm very excited. Basically, it was actually one of our biggest points of customer feedback, like in product feedback, the top thing was search sort filter being kind of rough and outdated. So we kind of finally brought it to the 21st century. And so we actually have a bunch of interesting stuff here. So as like a high level thing I want to point out is also, sorry, the scroll's a bit weird for reasons, just scrolling the list. But so basically what we've done is we've added filters. And so what that means is basically you can filter your applications in a bunch of new fields. Basically, it's not just restricted to the things that you're used to seeing on the list. We have display name, which of course is something that you can filter and search on. We have your app ID, which now you can actually do like a more appropriate search on, which is great. You have your created date, and we have essentially like the state of your certificates, which is all available to you. So some filters that you can see. We'll see how this renders zoomed in. All right, I'm going to zoom out just a second. Let's challenge my computer today. All right, so here we go. So we have basically a few fields that you can pick to filter on. So I'm just going to choose a few here just so you can kind of see what it looks like to add a filter. So what you do is basically a new pill kind of pops up here, and you can select a value for it. And so you can do a popular one was supported account types, just because sometimes you want to see like if you actually do have any multi-tenant apps living out in the wild here. And so this was a popular one. So you can do like, you can also see which ones are for like personal Microsoft account, because sometimes, things happen where like some claims are available in one type of account, or just like stuff happens. And so we wanted you to be able to actually filter and triage your apps that way. So we have a few here, what you can see is in any organizational directory is probably a popular one, and that like just seeing if you've accidentally created a multi-tenant app if you didn't mean to. And you can do any multi-select combo thereof. So that's a popular one. We also fixed, this is actually probably going to be the most exciting one, even though it doesn't have UI to support, as we've changed the way search works. It used to be the archaic starts with, which is just like, that's old school. That's not, that's not really modern in any way. And so we've done a full tokenized search. So what that means is like, as you can see here on my owned applications, because I have a good app. But what you can see here is, I have, let's say, iOS Swift test. This is a good example. Before I would have had to type in iOS space Swift to even get this guy to come up. But now I can just start typing in Swift, for example, and there it is. So now we do full tokenized. You can do starts with still, that'll still work. But now you can actually like use the modern search. And that was the biggest piece of in-product feedback. So I'm excited to do that, even though it might not look that exciting on paper.
That's awesome.
So that's the new search and filter. And then one last thing I want to highlight, right? I'm glad to hear that. And then one other thing I wanted to highlight is we now do sort by, because that was kind of a popular ask as well, was just because even if you necessarily like could search the same thing, sometimes it's just nice to see like how old things are relative to each other. Yeah, exactly. So we have this coming around, we have created on, so now you can do oldest or most recent. Same thing with display name. And then this is an ongoing thing. So basically, because we've done all the work to put this framework together and come up with kind of a set of like, I think it's 7 filters off the bat. Now we can add new filters as we go. So like, feel free to request in product feedback other filters you're looking for. We are cooking up a few, but just like, so look for updates there as well. It's something that we'll be continuously adding to. So that's a search sort filter.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah. And then I can move on to the next feature as well. Well, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
No, I think it's awesome. It looks great.
Great. So the next thing, which I think is also pretty exciting, and this one just snuck in. I think it just launched preview maybe like late last week or maybe even early this week. It's called deleted applications. What that means is basically when you've deleted an application, we now make it so it's recoverable on your own. Before it was either not recoverable, or if you like managed to get through supportability cases, then maybe you could get stuff recovered. But now you can actually go to this tab here. So all applications, own applications, and now there's deleted applications. So if you click this, give it a sec. So basically now you can see that these are the ones that I've recently deleted. This is actually just like for the tenant, but this is my own personal tenant, so that's why it's not that big of a list. If you get into bigger tenants, you'll see a huge list of deleted applications. Me and Christos were talking about this earlier. You go to some of our monster tenants here, and it's just like thousands of applications that people have deleted. But so basically what this means is you can actually either choose to just delete permanently if you just want it gone, no record of it. You can choose to do that. You click one of these and you can do multi-select. And you can choose to delete it. Or you can also do kind of like, oops, please don't delete me is the name of this application. Maybe it's not supposed to be in this list. I can now restore it, and basically it will go back into the like just general list of applications.
Nice. That's cool.
So very excited
So
about
question
that.
here,
That was
if I have
that was also
secrets
a
and
very high up.
certificates-
Yeah.
If I have secrets and certificates assigned to that deleted app, will they be reinstated as well as part of the restore, or will I have to go and recreate them?
Yeah, basically, so the app registration itself will be recovered in its
Love it.
entirety, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, yep, exactly. And I believe that like if you delete your application, like your service principal may need to be reconfigured because essentially like that will need to be reinstantiated, I believe. And so things like user assignment and that kind of stuff. But from a dev audience perspective, it should be basically exactly the same as when you left it, if that makes
It
sense.
makes sense. So much goodness.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last thing that I wanted to highlight is the app roles. So basically, we've had the app roles feature in various states of preview for a while, but it finally went GA like 5 seconds ago, like literally earlier this week. It also went GA, I believe. So some of the docs still say preview, but that is GA now. Just in case people aren't familiar with what app roles is, basically, so sorry, just to show where I am, I clicked into one that I already had that had app roles configured, just so you can kind of see what the application looks like. So scrolling to the left now, I'm in the app roles tab, which as you can see doesn't say preview anymore, which is exciting. We can actually kind of create app roles in an actually supported UI. For a long time, it was just in the manifest.
We know.
Which was definitely a source of customer feedback.
Was it back in November when we released the feature as a preview, and then me and JP spent an hour being super excited about that, and then within an hour we pulled back the feature, so it disappeared from the UI. So we did a stream on something that we were not supposed to. That was fun, but we're so happy to see it back in the UI.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, Hallmark specials have nothing on how dramatic the pull back and push forward for app roles UI was. It is finally GA now, and so we're very excited about that because it's been very long requested, and it was such a painful experience to start with. Just like managing manifest in general can be rough, but then manifest, like editing something that large, like a giant list, a JSON list of big individual elements is pretty rough. Yeah. And so getting that actually supported in the UI is a big win, in my opinion.
It is.
And so basically I just want to really quickly show off some of, like in case people are unfamiliar, basically app roles is the ability to have a supported role from the perspective of your application. So basically in your app code, you can now do you can do logic essentially showing like what parts may be accessible to different types of users, and having these app roles essentially allows you to kind of foot permissions and foot claims to those things inside of your application, so that way AAD can kind of like plug right into how your application works. So basically as a user from an AAD perspective, I can go in and just plug in, say like, oh, I have a moderator, I want that to be equivalent to my global admin role from AAD's perspective. And so basically it just like really ties together the whole story there. And so as you can see, you can now create these roles. You can create several types of roles. We support users groups, which makes sense style, but then we also support application roles. So if I wanted to have some kind of like bot system on the same application, I could actually support both types of roles. So very exciting. And it sounds like you guys have gone through it in detail, so I'm not going to do a whole shebang on it, but yeah.
As long as the UI remained the same, you can just point people back to that. And
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, we got a
few.
Yep.
And so those are the three main.
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah. I can imagine. The UI is not going anywhere.
Cool.
Nice.
Yes.
Yep. And so those are the recent releases there. And that's all I had to go over, unless people have questions. But
I have a question, and maybe this is, maybe this is like, I don't know. Okay, so why is assignment split from definition? So like I can define one as a dev, right? Why can't I assign one in here? Or why do I have to go somewhere else?
Yeah, so it is kind of a symptom of our general kind of architecture, in that we have this concept of the app object and the service principal, and that the app object is kind of the thing that defines how my application works, no matter what tenant it's in, and then the service principal is the way it works in a given tenant. So multi-tenant apps, there's going to be many service principles essentially defining how it needs to work per tenant, including the tenant that you're building your application in. And so basically, as a symptom of that, we kind of have these two experiences, the enterprise apps experience and the app bridge experience. And the enterprise apps is where you typically manage kind of how things work in your tenant in regards to how the app is. Classically, it's user assignment. App role assignment is also kind of a big part of the user assignment story. So it's been plugged into there. Saurabh, the PM who's working on this feature, is actually looking into kind of how can we make that connection clearer. So like, for example, he's, we have this, I'm gonna click away for a second. So we have this, how do I assign app role thing? And so basically he has kind of a doc that's about like, how, you've done it, yeah, you've created, but like, how do you actually do the assignment part? And so you can follow that doc as well in case you get lost. Like, always go back to this link and it'll kind of reground you. But yeah, the assignment is in a different location, but hopefully the doc link will help with that.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'm just curious. We get the question a lot, so that's awesome.
Yeah, no, and it's a totally fair question. It's something that we hear a lot. I'm actually the PM on the enterprise apps experience.
Oh, cool.
Wow,
just recently, and so we're definitely looking.
Very nice.
Yeah, and so we're definitely looking at how can we make the two
Yeah,
play
it's
nice
that's
the
great.
same tenant, right? If I am single tenant apps, it would be nice to be able to go and mess about with my app roles and configure them here rather than having to jump into enterprise apps and do it there. But for now, at least we have a UI, which is exciting.
Yeah, love the UI.
Yeah, exactly. The small wins are nice, but it is nice to be grounded about where we want to go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I agree. The single tenant app case is definitely still clunky in that regard.
Is there anything exciting in the roadmap that you can disclose without obviously saying or committing to dates, or like what is the next big thing that we should be expecting from the team?
From that perspective, I'm trying to think of what the next big things are. We have a couple of things that'll be trickling through GA. Like I said, there's actually going to be a lot more filters coming along. I think it's fair to share that like we are doing a bunch of stuff on like the cert expiry and that kind of stuff in terms of making it easier to triage which applications need to be essentially re-looked at from cert expiry, and that'll work with the filters.
Oh yeah,
That one's coming along
We always
pretty
recommend.
soon.
So we always recommend people to set the secrets for 1 year and not forever, and same for say certificates and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it like right now? There's no way to get notified which apps are going to expire, right? You have to probably call the graph to find out.
Yeah, graph is probably the best way right now. It is actually something that we're looking at. Well, we are talking to a partner team to figure out a good solution to that. And enterprise apps will follow the same structure as that, if that makes sense. So basically, both will be married to the same system, so it'll be a consistent experience. And that in general will be kind of the story going forward. Is things will be consistent between enterprise apps and
Nice.
App Bridge. As we build new
JP, did you
features,
fix
so.
my audio level?
yeah.
Everyone's complaining about me. Maybe you want to keep me quiet.
No, I don't have you. I don't have you low at all.
My big head in the corner.
I don't know. Put your mic closer to your face.
Fine. How about that?
Well, you're talking to the top of it.
Well, it's not the top of it. Is that better?
Well, I don't know. You sound the same to me.
It's better for everyone.
It's better for me.
That was better.
Well,
Okay.
I think
Fix my mic.
the other day it was like maybe yesterday, the day before, I was talking to a customer, and we were talking about app roles and stuff, and I remember he said, because he was in B2C, where sadly app roles don't exist. Although, of course, Christos and I have been
My mic
hammering
technique
those in, but
Thank you, friend.
and he told me, he said, "I'm not touching that manifest. You must be crazy." and so I said, "Yes, well, you know."
I mean, yeah, like if you ever want to feel right. I was going to say, if you ever want to feel sympathy for the days of past, I mean, do configuration of app roles in the UI and then go look at what it looks like in the manifest and know that some poor souls had to go
Yeah.
do that themselves.
I think
for a
gwidgen.com
long
is like
time.
my #1 most hit site of all time. So I can go generate new GWIDs.
You can do it in PowerShell now, you know.
Yeah.
So, well,
Yeah.
cool. Well, very cool. This is awesome. Well, hey, is there
Yes.
so in product feedback is the best way to get things to your team? Is there anywhere else that that we should direct people who have feedback on these, or is that the best place to go?
I mean, we look at in product. We have actually a really robust, like, I know every team will say something like this, but we actually actively look at every single thing that comes in. We have a whole rotation. We have like a ICM rotation where each PM has to go and look at every in product feedback thing. I just did mine last week. So it's we're very on top of it. And so
Okay.
like that is probably the best way. Also, feel free to, you can also reach out to me. I can forward as necessary. But yeah, in product feedback is actually a really great way.
All right, awesome.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
There you go. In product feedback, use the feedback button. It doesn't just go into the bit bucket, so that's good. That's awesome.
I promise we're
Very
listening.
good.
You're listening.
Well, hey, welcome to come back and hang out with us anytime. If you got anything cool
Yes.
you want us to talk about, feel free to drop it to us. And yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, it was great.
Have a
Thank you guys so
lovely,
much.
weekend. You can start the weekend today. We give you permission to start the weekend now. That's you
Thanks.
done for the week. All right, we'll see you soon.
Don't need to tell me
You
twice.
don't need our permission to start the weekend.
Yeah, take
See ya. All right.
People are
So-
complaining, man. They need to see some code. So our friends, Guptas and Curious Burger, Caparino, they're all on the Maxwell developer stream. We have AC Tech. Daryl is here as well. Thanks for all the feedback about my audio. I totally appreciate that. And yeah, we're good. What's cooking, man? What do we have today?
Well, we have. So there was a request on there was some chatter on Discord earlier this week about custom domains for B2C.
Yes.
And it's been a common ask, and it's one of those things that if you needed it, you had to know the right people to call and get on a wait list, and
You need to
do
know
all
the
sorts
people
of
that know the
stuff.
people, you know?
You had to know a guy, you know. So now that it's out in preview, we thought, well, let's walk through it and let's see what it looks like, and let's go configure it on my tenant, because I have to do we do a lot of B2C work around here. So I thought, well,
Yes.
it might be a lot of fun to figure out, just to to figure out how to do it,
And you know what? You're so committed to this that you even went and bought a certificate. For
The
your
only
custom domain.
thing that I did before we get into this, the only thing that I did beforehand was to buy a certificate. I didn't do anything else. I didn't set up any. The only thing I did was buy a certificate. I didn't set up any DNS. I didn't do anything crazy. And that was it. So we're gonna walk through it and see what it looks like.
Yep.
It uses Azure Front Door, which is sort of an interesting thing, to be quite honest.
So I've heard
yeah.
from people that front door is fairly expensive. Do you have the same kind of experience? Like if you want to have a custom domain, is that too much of an overkill just to set up front door for it?
Well, as of right now, but that is something we should go and look at. But at least as of right now, the way that I've been told, because I have not yet done custom domains here, the way I've been told is that by the time you get to the traffic level, like the amount of traffic you would need to go through front door would be pretty significant before it would cost anything, and that you might be talking about an extra $15 or $20. But at the same time, you're also not paying anything for B2C unless you've got more than 50,000 users. So yeah, because B2C is so cheap.
Caparino GR is saying, well, app service with custom domains gives you free Let's Encrypt, which is yes, absolutely. The problem there is
Yep.
that your web app will be running on HTTPS with your own custom domain and your certificate, but your B2C, if you need to use a custom domain that is tied to your app or your solution, and you also want to secure that with an SSL, then you can't do that in the B2C portal. That's the setup that we're trying to show you today.
Yeah. So this is so today, like if I want to go sign into B2C, for example, if I want to, like the thing that my users go and sign into,
Yep.
so like I've actually got a short link for it. It's fine. I mean, it is what it is, but you may not like that if you don't like your branding. So let's put this up in a notepad so you can see it. So, because my address bar is a little tiny.
Have you left any social media accounts that are not configured for this app?
No, why not? So this is the URL. So like if like in my apps, my customers are going to see B2Clogin.com and B2C on Microsoft. Like they're going to be like, what is that? Like I don't know what any of this is. Why do I have all this stuff? And a lot of customers said we need to white label this, right? Or we need to make it look like our own. We need to brand it on our own. For example, you look at a company like a Real Madrid or Subway. Like if you like sandwiches, if you like to eat sandwiches, Subway.
And I miss Subway right now. Why do you have to go there?
So Subway, if we go look at Subway's site, if we go and sign in, you'll notice. Let me grab this URL. If we go to Subway and we grab this URL, you'll notice id.subway.com. Like that doesn't say B2C in it. But if you look at the rest of it, it starts to look like B2C. OAuth 2, v2.0, authorized, policy, B1, B2C 1A, sign up, sign in, blah, blah, blah. So it's definitely B2C. It just doesn't look like it. And if you wanted to get this, you essentially had to know somebody who could get it configured because it was a little bit of a configuration headache before. Well, now we can do it on our own. And that's what's in preview today. So I'm going to put a link. I'm going to put a link to the doc so that you can go take a look at it. And
Caparino asked what was the GUID after the domain name, and I did say it was the GUID of the tenant, right?
It is a tenant ID. Yeah. So Azure AD in general, you can type in many different things here, like in a normal one. So if we've got like a login.microsoft.com, not loing, but if we have something like login.microsoftonline.com,
yep.
Here you can do your tenant ID, GUID, which is a GUID. Mm-hmm. You could also do your normal, like your standard domain name, which is myco.onmicrosoft.com, or you could do a custom domain. So like if you've got a custom domain already on your thing, you can use your custom domain too. I don't think that's going to be supported for the B2C custom domains just yet, not while it's in preview. But it resolves to nearly anything, which is pretty nice. So you can use all sorts of different things. So okay, so we're going to use Azure Front Door, and I have to say, like going through this doc, I was sort of like, there's so many like switches. You're going to be over here for Azure, then you're going to be over here for B2C, but you're going to come back over here to Azure, and you got to do this, you got to do that. So it's a little, I'll be honest, it's a little strange.
Involved, yeah.
It's involved. So hopefully our video can be the canonical go and do this. Maybe we'll get this video put into docs for how do you go and configure a custom domain. And people can look at us looking the way that we do. Well, looking the way that I do at least right now, because you look normal, but
I look big. You said I look big.
Well, no. Earlier when you joined, your size on the screen was large. So anyway, so I want a custom domain on my B2C directory so that my customers don't see that, right?
Yep.
So the first thing that we need to do is we need to add a custom domain name to our directory. Okay. Mm-hmm. So in B2C, now I'm in my Azure subscription. I'm not in my B2C thing. So up here in the corner where it says my name, it's like it tells me I'm in the corporate directory for my work stuff. We can get to our directory by switching here. So you click the little guy next up to the bell, and you can choose the directory that you want to use. So I could use this one, or the shortcut, and the way that you can get there quickly is you go to portal.azure.com/your directory name. So in my case, jpdab2c.onmicrosoft.com. And then that takes you directly to the B2C portal, if you want to call it that, right? So now if I click B2C in here, we're going to see all the B2C stuff, okay? So the thing we have to do is we have to verify a domain, right? Uh-huh. Now, this is B2C. However, where we're actually going to be doing the settings is not in Azure AD B2C, which is sitting on top. It's going to be in the underlying Azure AD directory that's underneath it. So I know we've talked about this some in the past, but Azure AD itself is really sort of the underlying plumbing that makes B2C work. So B2C is bolted on top of Azure AD, which introduces a lot of confusion because you'll go to here and say, well, wait a minute, like I can do this here, but I can't do this here. And this is really not going to be that much different. So instead of going to B2C, the B2C part of the portal, we're going to go to Azure Active Directory instead, because this is where we have to set up our custom domains.
So is that your Active Directory for your tenants or for the B2C, so for your Azure, your proper Azure subscription, or for the B2C tenant? Correct.
It's in B2C. So
right.
If we look here, you'll notice up here in the corner, it tells me my org is JPDA B2C, or the directory that I'm in is here.
Yep.
If we look at the directory filter, we see this is the one that's selected. This is what my current directory is. So this has to be your B2C directory, right? So in order for us to go through the steps we're going to go through, you got to go to your B2C directory, not to your Azure Active Directory that's linked to your Azure subscription. That's a big point. We're going to be back and forth between the two. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'm going to change the color of this one. So this one's white, right?
Yes.
So this one, we're going to have the B2C part be all in white. So this is my B2C one. If we go back to the other portal that I've got, this is my work one and where my actual Azure subscription is, and we're going to keep this one black, right? Mm-hmm. So we've got black, that's where my Azure subscription is. White, that's just my B2C directory. Okay? So when we come here, we have these two things, Azure Active Directory and Azure B2C, Azure AD B2C. For the custom domain stuff, the first thing we have to do is add a domain. If you're familiar with Azure AD, then this will be a familiar thing, but if you're not, that's cool too, because it's pretty easy to do. So if we go to Azure Active Directory, which is where we need to go for this, you'll notice custom domain names over here on the side. Okay?
So you already acquired the domain, you have the domain, now you're going to go and configure the domain for your B2C.
Correct.
Yes.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to add a custom domain name here. We're going to add a custom domain. Now, I've already bought a domain. So before we started, those are two things I did. I bought a domain and I bought a certificate. You can get free certificates from Front Door, but I bought one anyway. So my custom domain name that I'm going to use.
You get a free certificate from Front Door?
Pretty sure you do.
Nice.
So the custom domain name that I bought was b2c.wtf, so I thought that would be appropriate. So that's what users are gonna sign in with. So let's add this. Okay.
Fills me with confidence when I see that domain name.
So it says now I got to go to my DNS registrar and I've got to add this record to verify it. So let's go do that because that'll only take a sec. I'm just gonna, I'll just get a new window here.
And we'll put, show us.
What put this window on the side. I use Google Domains. I used to use GoDaddy, but Google Domains had free privacy and stuff, and I wanted a .dev domain, and you could only get one from them. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. But then I moved them all over, and I was like, wow, I love this. This is like so much easier and so much nicer to use. Okay, so let's go find. So let's go find our b2c.wtf here.
Man, you own quite a few domains.
That's a bad habit. Okay, so we got our b2c.wtf.
How much do you spend on domains?
Probably too much. So this is the DNS. So this is my registrar, but your registrar is going to be different. Your DNS may be completely different, whatever. So let's go see. So the first thing I got to add a text record with this value. So here it is. So this was the SSL thing I had to do yesterday, which we actually don't need anymore. So we'll just delete that. I'm going to add a new text record, and it's going to have that value, that MS39511 blah, 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 blah. So we're going to add this, and I'm going to wait a minute, because what I've found over doing this for, I guess, for a while, is that when you do this, if you immediately hit verify, and it hasn't propagated yet, it's like now you have to wait forever. But if you give it just a couple minutes to propagate, it tends to happen fairly quickly. So
while this is happening, while we're waiting, let's remind our friends that if they need to ask for help, we have the link at the very top for Get Help. That's for any developer issues. You can go there and ask for help, or IT issues, I guess. And then make sure you join our Discord, where we have a very lively and helpful community, where you can come and ask questions. It can be work related, it can be fun stuff. If you want to hang out with other like-minded people, then Discord is a good place to be. And if you want to find us and ask certain stuff, then also Discord is where you need to be. There you go.
Oh, you know what? We have to verify subdomains too. Now that is very different because what's interesting is so in a normal Azure AD tenant or directory, once you've added a root directory or a base domain, your subdomains automatically go in. But it looks like we have to do that here. So we're gonna have to make sure we go and add another one too. It looks like it's started to replicate pretty well across the world, so that's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to do a verify, and we'll see if it picks it up. It does. Good.
I didn't know that you can have a DNS checker to see how it propagates. I mean, back in the day, you had to wait for 24 hours. I remember, or up to 24 hours. That was fun.
So what subdomain should we use to sign in? I wonder. ID
ID
or Y? Who? Oh no, it's got to be at least 4 letters. Oh my god, that's awful.
No.
I can't believe that.
That's bad. So what do you want for? I mean, signing is too boring, right?
Sign in is way too boring.
Ideas in stream?
Yeah. So what should we call it? What should my users sign in with?
Welcome. Hello.
Welcome. No. Hello?
Let me in. Ball says let me in.
Let me in. That's so long though. I need something short. Let's do like I.
So 4. Join. How about join? Join?
Ask? No. Who?
No, 3. 3. You need to be 4. Remember?
No. The whole thing has to be more than 4. Sorry. So it's already more than 4. So I can be all the way down to a single. We can be all the way down to a single letter if we want to.
Single letter. Okay.
I'm going to use who because I like who. Because it's not kind of like, oh, this is your this is your thing, right? Okay, so I've also got a I'll see now.
Flick says account, but account is. I know. I like
So-
it. It's okay.
So interestingly enough, the docs tell you have to verify each subdomain that you want to use, but you don't have to go back through DNS, which is good. So sort of, I think it's kind of what we expected, which is once you've done a root domain, your subdomains don't have to be independently or individually verified via DNS. So once you show you own the root domain, then you're good to go there. So so we've added the custom domain. I don't think we're supposed to make it the default, although to be honest, it doesn't really say. So we won't make it primary because who knows what that's going to break. So we'll make it so we've got these. So we've got who.b2c.wtf and b2c.wtf verified. These are our. This is the one we're going to use. Okay, so now we got to go create a front door instance. So let's go. In fact, I'm going to move. Let's go back to Azure.
The actual Azure AD. Yeah. Hey, Bruce. How you doing, sir? All good here.
Yeah. Good morning, Bruce. Good afternoon. So.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
So we have. So we're back in our Azure subscription because remember, our B2C interface doesn't have Azure associated to it. Instead, we've got our Azure subscription, and then we've got our B2C sort of directory as a separate thing. So I'm back in my Azure subscription because we need to add Azure Front Door. So let's add Azure Front Door. Azure Front Door. That doesn't look like what it should. So let me just try Front Door. I think it's just called Front Door in here, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to Front Door. Cool. All right, let's create one. We'll put it in this resource group. Yeah. That's all good. Okay, review and create. Aw, I must not have configured something. Oh, okay. So front ends and domains. So let's add our host, and our host is going to be the front end host specifies a desired subdomain on front door's default domain. So that will just do I'll just do JPDA B2C maybe, because that's the thing it's going to be. Session affinity, no way, we don't need that. And a WAF. We really want a WAF? I don't think we really need a WAF.
No, we don't need a WAF.
I don't need a WAF. I mean, I'd hope the service deals with that. So I don't need a WAF because we're not putting my app through this anyway. So we'll add that. Okay, so backend pool. So a backend pool, these are the things that it's going to actually go and talk to, right? So let's add a backend. I'm going to look at the doc here, the one that we pasted in the chat earlier. So let's add a backend. Backend host type is custom. Be nice to have that in here, to be quite honest, because then I could use the root domain. That's the thing. I don't think I'll be able to use the root domain. So we'll do who.b2c.wtf. Oh, no, sorry. It's not that. It is our B2C one, b2clogin.com. Okay, so that's my B2C one. Port 80, port 443. Those all look good. Priority 1, wait 50. Okay, enabled. Cool. So this is my B2C's normal name, right? So this is the backend host, which is your directory name.b2clogin.com. So that looks pretty good. So let's add this one. So now the next thing is apparently we're supposed to disable the health probes. So I guess we'll disable the health probes. And then we have to set up our custom domain in here. So may not be too bad. Okay, so it's there. It's enabled. We've got our B2C login one. So let's add this. Okay. Oh, I need to name it. Backend pool. I'll just call this pool, even though it's a single thing. And then routing rules. I don't know if we actually have. Do we have any routing rules? I mean, everything. Everything. Because I guess everything that comes to this front door, we're going to want to hit that anyway, right? Maybe I don't need to do a rule yet. Maybe I should wait. But so it's a forward or a redirect. HTTPS only. I guess we should probably match the request. Let me see if there's anything. I wonder if there's actually docs that tell us what that should be. Nope, doesn't look like it. I think our the two experiences are a little bit different. So we're going to match everything. We're going to do HTTPS and HTTP with the. Of course, we're going to redirect to HTTPS. And we're just going to match whatever. We're just going to match whatever people send. We don't need to rewrite the URL, and we don't really need to cache either, because the service is going to do most of that. And we're going to do a forward. We're going to forward or redirect. Yeah, we don't want to redirect.
No,
so let's
forward.
add.
Yeah.
Let's add that. Okay, tags. Okay. All right, so let's create our front door instance. And then we got to go add our custom domain name to front door.
Yes.
So hopefully this deployment doesn't take too long.
It's like
The whole, like-
API management that takes 2 hours if you do non-consumption.
Yeah.
I did a stream once. I was like, let's go and spin up our API management. And then we were waiting there for 2 hours because it's a lot of resources.
It's like when somebody puts a meeting on your calendar for an hour and they're like, hey, we need to get our site-to-site VPN set up. And you're like, you're going to have to go ahead and make this a couple hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay, good. It's already done. So let's go to our front door resource. And now our front door resource needs a custom domain. Mm-hmm. So where do I set a custom domain?
Oh, it should be. What do we have? Front door designer. Should be in the designer, maybe.
I have to add a second one, maybe. Custom host name. All right. So who.b2c.wtf. Okay. So I've got to add a CNAME for that. So let's go add our CNAME here in DNS. So we got a CNAME for who. That's going to go there. Cool. So we've added that. We'll give it a
If
minute
only
to
we could play
propagate.
the Who song from CSI. Every time you say Who, that comes to mind.
So let's see if this is. Let's check on how well this is propagated. Oh yeah, definitely not there yet. That's fine. We'll give it a minute. So we'll give that one a minute.
At least it's
so
not
that should
24
be
hours. Right?
No, that's true. Well, I mean, it hasn't shown up yet, so who knows? It could be. I certainly hope it isn't. So let's go. I go search like 40 of these DNS propagation things to see how long, to see if it's when it gets ready. So, okay, so who.b2c.wtf. It's a CNAME. Anybody? Okay, it's starting to get there. We got it in a few places. One place in the United States, and looks like a lot of places over in Asia, which is good. So that's good.
There you go. You're all set.
Let's see if we can. Let's try it again. I don't see like a verify button, which is kind of annoying, but okay. Custom domain HTTPS. So we'll enable that because we do want that. So we can do a front door managed certificate,
Or your own. Very nice.
or we can use our own. So
So wait a
what
minute,
is?
the front door managed one will probably roll on its own, so you don't have to worry about expiration. I mean, if that's the case, that's amazing.
So what is a managed certificate? Is that just like a Let's Encrypt style thing, I wonder?
Probably.
So, let's see. Use a certificate managed by front door. HTTPS can be turned on in just a few clicks. Front door completely handles certificate management as procurement and renewal. After you enable, it starts immediately. The custom domain is already mapped. No further actions required. Front door will process the steps and complete the request automatically. Okay. If your custom domain...
I hope you didn't have to pay for your certificate, by the way.
I didn't. If your custom domain is mapped elsewhere, you must use email to validate domain ownership. I wonder if that's... Because, yeah, like, I don't own the B2C login.com domain.
True.
There's no way I could verify that.
Yes.
So, or you could use your own. So if let's say I want to use my own. Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
Uh-oh. Do you have to upload the PEM?
You gotta upload it to Key Vault. You gotta
Oh, you have to use Key Vault.
you gotta create service principals to go connect to it. Oh my God. Okay.
Are you sure you need a service principal? Maybe it just connects automatically. Maybe that's the SP behind the scenes for you. Or is that what it says in the docs?
Well, we have to essentially. So essentially, you create this. This is likely already done in our directory, but you have to create the Azure AD service principal that corresponds to the front door service.
I see.
And then the
yeah,
front door
okay.
service needs permission to access the secrets in your Key Vault.
Caparino says, of course you have to use Key Vault for that. I mean, technically, it's the right solution to do because
I know.
Key Vault is the great place to.
But why can't I just like, okay,
upload?
Yeah, here's my certificate. Upload it into my Key Vault, please. Like, come on, this is ridiculous.
That's a good point.
All right,
Like a one-click.
It's just like such a circus. We got three different tabs open on different contexts and different directories and different Azure subscriptions. And it's just annoying. It's like, come on.
We feel the pain, Caparino. He says, like, suggestion: create a mini wizard to upload, create a Key Vault while creating other services. Yes, that would be amazing.
That seems like a great idea. We just have to get 37 teams together to go figure it out. That's all.
Yeah,
You know.
Obviously, the front door does not speak to the Key Vault team, and the Key Vault team does not speak to the B2C team. So,
Because, I mean, if nothing else, maybe by the time I retire, that feature will be in planning. Okay, so let's go create a Key Vault. Sorry, I'm a little tired.
JP with all the
salty this
pansies.
morning.
I just remember that we're on the Microsoft Developer Channel, so you're probably going to be banned. if you don't see us on the Microsoft Developer Channel next week, then you know what happened.
Yeah, if we disappear, you know what happened.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we're going to create a new Key Vault. If I disappear
The
again, at least you know what
silence
happened.
disappeared.
So we got B2C. So we're going to go create a Key Vault here because I don't want to use the other Key Vaults because they're not in the same resource group, and so I kind of like I want this one to be in the same resource group as my stuff. So I'm going to put it in the same one as my B2C directory. We've got our region, we've got our pricing, all that looks good. 90 days, yeah, that's fine. Access policy. So there's one access policy that we need to add, and that access policy is for. Let's see. So we need secret management. And all we really need for secrets is to get a secret and list one, I believe. And then for certificate, same, get and list. And the principal in this case is front door. I think it's called the Azure Front Door Service. Azure Front. Which... Let me go back. I'm going to go back over here to the Azure one. So this says you need to register the Azure Front Door Service as an app in your Azure Active Directory, which certainly I can't imagine we haven't done yet. So, here we go. Microsoft.azure.frontdoor. So this is the service that we need, and all it needs is a get secret permission. So that's good. That's relatively straightforward. Pretty limited stuff here. Okay, so there's Azure Front Door. We're going to just give it the get secret. We don't need to worry about certificates, so we'll just do get secret permission. It has that, so we'll add that. Okay, and then let's get it created. And one of the things I remember when I first started using Key Vault, one of the things that always threw me was certificates versus secrets. So the secret part of a certificate, the private key, is considered a secret. Because I was calling Key Vault over and over and over again. And I was like, why can't I get my private key? Why can't I get the PFX for my certificate? And turns out it's because they're classified as secrets in Key Vault, the private key itself. So you have to request the private key via the secrets, and you can request the public key via the other one. Okay, so my Key Vault's done. So let's go upload our certificate. Let's see. So we'll go to certificates. We're going to upload one. We're going to import, and we will call this. Let's upload. Let's upload our certificate file, which I've got here. All right, and it's got a password. It's our PFX. Okay. All right, so we've got our certificate up. We should have a secret. Do I have to import this separately? Certificate. Oh, okay. Go to here for your list of certificates and import a certificate. Okay, I think we just did that, so that's good. Okay, cool. So here's our certificate. Says there are no secrets available. However, it does say our certificate is here. And let's see. Enabled, yes. Here's our cert. Okay, there's the secret identifier. So here's the key identifier. Here's the secret identifier. Interestingly enough, the secret identifier doesn't show up in the thing, which is I find a little interesting. That if I go to secrets, I don't actually see the secret, but there's definitely a secret there. It's just behind it's behind the certificate. So, but whatever. So we've got our Key Vault. Our Key Vault has our certificate uploaded into it. So let's go back to front door, and we're going to use. Oh no, do I have to? I probably have to restart this to make it refresh. Let me see. Yep, I'm going to have to start this part over. So, if nothing else, it gave us a chance for our it gave us a chance for our DNS to replicate. Okay, custom domain DNS enabled. Front door manager, use my own. We're going to use our own, and it still doesn't see it. I'm probably going to have to refresh this whole thing. Sigh. Okay, might even have to refresh this whole window, but let's hope that we don't. So okay, cool. Custom domain HTTPS 1.2, use my own certificate, select the Key Vault, still just shows me the other ones, and there's no way to refresh this or say, hey, go get my fresh ones. So, what we'll do, I'm just going to reload the whole window, and we'll see if we can get it this way. Okay, so got my domain validated, use my own certificate, and there it is. There's our new one. So we got our new Key Vault. So that's good. Don't need the WAF. Don't need session. Okay, so let's need a secret. And the secret is our key. And I guess we'll just use the latest one because we've only got one in there. So we chose our Key Vault. We chose the certificate. And we chose the latest version. Okay. So it says it's not present in any of the routing rules. The host is missing a default route path for both the HTTP and HTTPS protocols. Okay. So then now we need here everything.
You know there's a document you can follow, right?
Well, actually I have the document. In fact, that's a good idea. Let's pull it up. So it actually doesn't say anything about this part.
Oh God, really?
So yeah.
So get John, who did it yesterday.
Who did it yesterday?
John Carlos, he did it yesterday on his own B2C.
Oh, did he? Awesome. Yeah. We might come to that. Okay, so I'm looking at the front door docs now, and I don't see. I don't see any good way. So I guess for pattern matching, can I just do like star wax star? No.
I don't know.
So I need to do who.b2c.wtf. Thanks, Mom. So that doesn't work. Must start with a whack, and only the allowed asterisk is at the end. An asterisk must be preceded by a slash. Okay, so Oh, front ends and domains. Oh, that's all I had to do. I just had to check a box. So it's under front ends domains. So in our main routing rule where we just send everything over, in our front ends domains we just had to add a second one here. Okay. So we got our root details. All it looks good. Cool. Okay. Update. Okay. Let's refresh it. Oh no! Did I just?
What?
Well, I think I refreshed it instead of hitting save, and I.
Oh, you lost your settings?
I lost everything I just did.
It's fine. It's not that much.
No, it's not, but okay. Let's try this one more time. Get my secret. It's the latest secret version. Cool. Add it. Go to my rule. Change our rule to include our second thing here. Update it. Save it first.
Such a specific thing that if you forget to do in many blades, you end up losing quite a bit. Like I always do on key vault, for example, when I change settings. Because adding IAM permissions is fun. And if you don't use key vault, then it's a fantastic service.
Okay. So since it's updated the front door, now it says it's updated the HTTPS configuration, so that's good. So now, so we have our main rule, which is these two domains go to the B2C pool. They send everything over there, so that's cool.
Yep.
So now the next thing, and I'm going to try to follow the docs, make sure I'm doing it the way that we're expected to do it. So instead, let's go try to sign in to let's just go get a test to jwt.ms or something.
Yeah.
So I'm back in the B2C portal. We'll just type in B2C to get back to the B2C blade because we're done with the Azure Active Directory blade now. And let's go to user flows and
You're gonna test it. Nice.
Yep. Let's pick one. Let's do. Let's do.
You can't remember which one to use? I like it.
Let's do this one. So when we do a run user flow, we've got our URL down here, right? So what we need to do is take that URL, and in theory,
if you change the URL to be your new custom domain, it should work, right?
We should be able to do that.
So question, will I ever see that custom domain anywhere in my B2C, or will I always have to configure that manually when I want to call a flow?
I don't know yet, to be quite honest. I honestly don't know yet. So we're going to try to go to that URL, and let's see what happens.
What's the worst that can happen?
Well, it's not secure. Okay. So it says the server couldn't prove its security certificate is from AzureEdge.net. Okay.
So that seems that it's coming from front door, right?
So it seems like it's using the front door services, and then our services aren't available right now. Please check back soon. Okay. So something's misconfigured.
Yep.
Then let's see here. Okay, so let's go back to our front door. And if we look at the front door designer, so we have our two front ends. That's set up. It's 1, 2, use my domain. Yep, that all looks good. All that's good.
Yeah.
Certificate provisioning has been issued and is currently being deployed to front door. Okay.
Oh.
So that would be why. So I guess we have to wait some number of minutes for that. So, okay, so at least we can also use while we're waiting on that, let's use our front door domain, which is jpda.b2c.azurefd.net. Let's just see what we get. Let's see what we get there. I don't actually think that's going to work because we haven't registered that domain in our Azure AD directory, but let's see. So it's jpda.b2c.azurefd.net. And it says it is invalid. Did I not use the right one? That's my key vault. It's my custom domain. And it is Azure FD.net.
You're using vertical tabs. I like it. How do you feel about them?
I don't know yet. Honestly, every time I look at the window, I think I'm in Teams because I don't see the tabs at the top. And I'm like, how did I get here in Teams? And then I realized I didn't. So we have these two front ends. We can't use the Azure FD one because that doesn't seem to work. And ours, it looks like we're still waiting on this provisioning to happen. So, we've got our DNS. Our DNS is all set up. I don't know why I didn't change anything, but it's telling me my unsaved edits are going to be discarded, which is a little worrying. And then we've got our routing rules that send everything over there. And our pool is our B2C login, so that's good. Cool. So that's all configured according to the document on how to do it. So this is good. So that all looks okay. Maybe it's just a matter of waiting on our. Maybe we're just waiting on our certificate to provision throughout the throughout front door. That's what it seems like, anyway. So Daryl, the if I wanted to take the on Microsoft part out of it, I could also just use my directory's tenant ID. So let's go get that while we're waiting on it. So your directory ID, like we were saying earlier, your directory ID is sort of the root. It's the one thing that's always going to be consistent about your directory. In order to get your tenant, you can go to an app itself. It's also called a tenant ID. Tenant ID, directory, you'll hear them sort of interchanged all the time. So if I go to my app registrations in B2C, you can go to any of them and get your directory ID. So I'll take this directory ID out, and let's just put that here. And we'll just replicate this. And get the directory ID. And we'll put that in here in its place. And now this should work identically to the other one. In fact, should also work here. So I should be able to do it in my normal, in just a normal just with the B2C login one.
Yeah, no custom domains.
Yeah, without custom domains. Yeah. So those directory IDs are all interchangeable. So we can use that. We can use that anywhere. Okay, I'm gonna go grab my link again, one more time. I usually don't use the GUID because I remember the name. Oh, there it is. It works.
Hey.
There you go. So any of you can go here. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Any of you can go here, and you should be able.
Excitement.
It should take you there. I'm impressed. I'm super excited about it. I love it.
I mean, there were a few steps there, right? It's a little bit.
Yeah.
You have to jump between 3 different services, and you have to wait for a little bit. You also have to have your domain. So 4. You have to have your DNS settings up for your custom domain. You need a certificate, or you don't need a certificate. I wonder, would it have been faster if you were to go with the front door provision certificate? Probably, right?
I don't think you can do that though.
Oh,
we can
because you can't verify the domain. Yes, you're right. Especially for B2C, you're right.
So, well, I mean, we can check to make sure, but I'm fairly certain. Because, I mean, if you think about what would happen if... so, let's say I wanted to make superpaypal.com, right? And then...
I see where you're going.
And it pointed back to PayPal or something, right? And then I just tweaked and modified the settings or something. I'm fairly certain you have to verify the host pool is your own. I don't know that for certain. So if we were to put another one in here, if I was to call this like who2.b2c.wtf, of course I have to put that in. I have to add that in DNS. If I was to add that,
says your certificate is still propagating, right?
No, I mean, well, I don't know. It doesn't say that right now.
Okay.
It worked for me like to whatever my local edge node is going to be, but yeah, it may still be broken for other people because it probably has not fully propagated just yet. So there's probably that would be my guess. So let's try. I'm going to try to add a second one here. I'm going to call it Who2. And it still hasn't propagated yet, but that's okay. And if I was to do enable and do front door managed instead.
He says it's not propagated in the Mauritius Islands yet. Sorry, we're a little bit slow with our DNS.
Interesting. I can't turn it on. So if I do front door managed, oh, I have to, let me save it first, of course. Save it. Don't want to make that mistake again.
Save. Always.
Saving. Come on.
I love how people are checking the DNS propagation across the...
Come on. Okay. So if I click this one now, so it's front door managed. Okay, so that's cool. So now it says, okay, so it's enabled. It says it's submitting a request. It needs to do domain validation. I mean, I would imagine it definitely needs to do domain validation for me, right? That I own the domain that I'm trying to use.
Correct.
Although, if I don't have access to DNS
exactly
to create the record, then how would I? Well, but why would I? If I don't have control over DNS, why would I change it? Right? Like, because I couldn't point it to anybody. So why would I put in a domain on front door that I don't have control over? Yeah. Because DNS wouldn't resolve for that one. I mean, I guess if you did like DNS poisoning or something, maybe. I don't know.
So I see what you're saying. So first we have to hack PayPal so we can create our Super PayPal account. Okay. Step 1, hack somebody else. Please don't. I'm just kidding. Step 2, set up front door.
Well, but in order for me to add a domain to front door, I have to have a domain. I have to validate I own the domain, right?
Yep.
So, well, no, actually, I don't have to validate it in front door because I can't
you have
point
to add the DNS settings.
Right. I can't add DNS. I can't get anybody to actually move traffic to it without having access to the DNS to set it.
Yes. Yeah.
So if I was to proxy, so I think for domain validation that I own it for issuing a certificate under my own domain, that makes sense for sure. That should be no sweat.
Yeah.
But what I wonder,
it's because of B2C.
Does it change
an own domain?
Does it try to verify you own the back domain too, like the pool, the domain in the pool, right?
Yeah, because that's what we're discussing right now, Gaptus. It's sorry if I mispronounce your name, but I think the whole point here is that to be able to get the certificate validated, if you go the front door, because we don't own the B2C backend service, we don't know that DNS, it might not be possible to validate.
It says your domain will automatically validate if a CNAME is directly mapped to the front door. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Otherwise, verification will be sent an email. So we have done DNS, so that should work. So domain validation should be fine. So yeah, so I guess we could have used a managed certificate too. The way that I read the B2C doc kind of implied that you couldn't, because because of the fact that you don't control the back end really. But I could have just misparsed that in my brain, which I think is probably what happened.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's put this in here.
Tracing code. We're doing custom domains for B2C, which has just been announced, and we're using
just went into preview yesterday. So now instead of b2clogin.com, you can go to who.b2c.wtf and log people in.
Yes.
Yep. So hey, I mean it's cool. It works. So hey.
Wait, did you get a custom one as well?
I don't know. I'm waiting on it to. I'm waiting on the save to finish. So.
Aha.
Okay, so successfully updated. So the other thing you mentioned too that we should go look at is pricing for this. So domain validation. Your domain will automatically be validated if a CNAME is directly mapped to front door, which it is.
It is.
So let's go look at pricing. We'll come back to this because I was probably wrong. I think the back end that you're pointing to doesn't matter. It'd be an interesting attack vector to think about, though, because if you're going to proxy somebody else's service,
Yeah.
I mean, imagine like if you were to like, so let's say we bought PayPi, PAYPAI.com, right? Or MIRCOSOFT or something. If we were to proxy PayPal back, we would see a bunch of, we would see a proper interface. Now, there's all sorts of ways to stop that with things like, cross-site and whatever. But with different rules, you would see potentially see like a PayPal logins page that is an actual real PayPal login page, but it's going through your proxy first. And it's going through your proxy first. It can go anywhere from there. I don't know, but we'll have to. I think that'll be worth exploring to figure out. Anyway,
Yes.
Pricing. Check one more time before we go, and let's go look at
that money.
All right, let's go look at pricing. Domain validation. So still waiting on that. So let's go look at pricing for this one. So let's go to our Azure calculator. Okay, pricing calculator. Whoa, I can contact sales. Looks like that's the only thing I can do here. I'm going to try this
with
one
the
more
phone.
time. There we go. I can talk to a human being on the phone to talk about buying things. Can you imagine? In 2021? Oh my god, it'd be miserable.
Hi, I would like to buy 3 servers and a front.
Okay, so we got front door. Okay. So you're 5 gigs. Let's look at pricing. Let's look at pricing details. Okay, so we are using Azure Front Door. We're not using the preview thing yet. So okay. So your first 10 terabytes a month are 17 cents a gig. Wow, actually that is kind of pricey. That is a little pricey.
That's
so how big is my B2C request? I don't know. Let's look.
Can you see traffic?
Yeah, let's go see what it's got.
I wonder if it also pings your service all the time and that counts it as egress, and then
we turn those
off.
We turn them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine if you were doing it though, right? As a proper.
Oh yeah, it'd be awful. All right, so let's do this. So I got my network up. Let's go to who.
Wait, is there no traffic meter inside front door to see where you are? Like what's the traffic?
I'm sure there is. I just don't know how frequently it's updated. Okay, so we're gonna disable the cache. We're gonna purge all this or clear these. Oops. So clear. Okay. And then let's do a empty cache and hard refresh on this page. And let's just see how big it is.
Are we becoming the no sales people now, where we're going to turn people off from using front door?
Well, so hang on. Okay, so it was 787K transferred. And everything came from our domain. So we didn't get anything from an external domain. So we did get AAD CDN. So these two came from the Azure AD CDN. That came from the Bootstrap came from the ASP.NET CDN.
Yeah.
So that means these 3 requests. So let's see. This came from who? This came from who? So illustration.ts. How big was illustration.ts? Illustration.ts was...
Is that your custom page?
No, that is tenant branding. That comes from our CDN though, from the Azure AD CDN. It doesn't go through your stuff. How big was this? Are there no other? Oh, here we go. Oh, I just need to scroll over. But there's no scroll bar to scroll over with. There we go. Okay, so this was 288K. That's a big part of it, and so was the banner logo. So that's about 291K, and Bootstrap came from somewhere else. So let's just say 400K came from somewhere else, right? So we basically are left with
300,
four.
400?
We'll say 500. 441 is our main. 441 is our main page. 27 from the unified page. Google, Facebook, Amazon. These SVGs are all less than a kilobyte. So let's just say 500K. 500K per request. Now, if I go through sign up and sign in, that's going to take a while. But let me sign in. I'm going to sign in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess we didn't test if sign in actually worked, did we? That probably would have been a good thing to do. Okay, so it tried to take me to localhost, but whatever, that's fine. So it signed me in. So this also came from us, and this did too. That's only a couple K. Okay, so 500K. That's our number, right?
That's 2 million requests for 1 gigabyte.
So we're in East US, and what do we get? What do we get for our money? So we have one routing rule, which is everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not using WAF.
Correct.
Do we have a custom rule? We don't have custom rules. We don't have a managed
custom
rule
rules.
set. Okay. And then this is, okay. So we don't need this. So the only thing we have is transfer and routing rules. So
Yep.
at 500K per request,
So 2
So
million
this-
requests.
so I get 2 million requests after my 5 gigs.
No. For 1 gig.
Oh, for 1 gig. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of requests.
It is
Okay,
a
so
request.
so 5 gigs in and out, and one rule, which is everything, is $20.
That's
so
not bad. Okay,
let's just
I
say,
get that.
let's do 1 gig for 1 gig in and 1 gig out. That is $20. Honestly, it's this routing rule.
Yeah.
The routing rule is $22. So
Interesting.
that's probably going to be the bulk of it.
And
Which
we
makes-
don't need more rules for that, right? Or can you use front door for multiple rules? So you only pay for one kind of. Like, you're not paying for the instance. You're paying for the service, right? So you're not paying per hour for how. Like if you spin up a front door and you don't have any rules and no traffic, you don't pay anything, right? So once you apply a rule, then that goes to $20, and then 21.
Yeah, but you have to have a rule, right?
You have to have a rule. Yeah. Oh, you mean you can't
Just-
define a front door without a rule? Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
then when traffic gets there, it wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have to.
No,
I mean,
it makes sense. I'm just trying to figure out whether you would do a one-to-one kind of thing, like you only use one front door instance for your B2C traffic, and then you have other front doors for other things, or do you push everything through the same front door?
well, the other thing I'm wondering now
Uh huh.
is what would keep me from using Cloudflare, an Azure Function Proxy? I mean, Front Door isn't anything special and magical. It's a reverse proxy that distributes. It's a CDN, right? But it's essentially a reverse proxy. So I'm going to hit Front Door, and Front Door is going to go fetch a bunch of stuff on my behalf and bring it back, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which would lead me to believe that as long as the host header is correct with what you're proxying for, that in theory that would all work.
Yeah.
Because imagine if you kind of wonder there'd be kind of some neat things you could do with that. I don't know. Like imagine if
As
you
in,
pushed it through a
instead of
function
using-
proxy.
You could, and then you have the free certificate plus the web app settings plus Let's Encrypt. So that also becomes an option. Right?
I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thought. I don't know. Maybe we don't have to do it today, but
So H3 Tech is saying a masked login URL is not worth $22 per month. I mean, technically, to be honest, the fact that this is the recommended. Oh, wait a minute. Would anything else work with B2C, or would that break stuff because it needs to go via front door? That's the other question. Is there any different way that you can do it? I don't think so. Can you?
what do you mean? Say that again.
Like, do we need front door, or is this the recommended Microsoft way? Like, would B2C work with Cloudflare, for example, if you were to say that? Or
That's what I don't know. My suspicion, I mean, based on assumption, my suspicion would be that it would really work with any kind of any kind of reverse proxy as long as it sends the right host header. So I mean, that would be my assumption, but I don't know that to be true.
Yeah, because otherwise, I don't know what stopped people from doing in the past.
Well, I think you have to make a service change. Like I think on the back end, you'd have to make a service change to allow that, right?
Okay.
Like,
and that might not be supported.
there's definitely like you couldn't do it. You couldn't like do it in a complete vacuum. But now that change has been made, does it open up any reverse proxy, or is it just Azure Front Door? And seeing as we had to manually set up a bunch of stuff, I would presume there isn't any sort of magic sauce there that makes that happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but wait a minute. Cloudflare is not free either, right? Once you hit a certain traffic threshold, you have to pay for it, correct?
I think you can use it for free. I don't think there's a traffic threshold, but I don't know. Let's go look.
Because I use it for my blog and I get 35 gig, 40 gig per month, and it's free. I'm not paying for it.
Click each image with a motorcycle. Oh, God,
Whoa,
what is this?
there you go. Do your machine learning exercise this morning. Come on.
What is HCAPTCHA, I wonder? Oh,
Train the bots.
Apparently my password's incorrect.
Oh.
I thought you got a few sites for free for basic CDN and proxy, not for everything, right?
Yeah, no advanced features.
There's all sorts of other stuff that they can do. Let's see, Cloudflare pricing. So you get DNS, CDN, SSL, 100K workers requests, and like I don't have any. I think maybe I have one page rule that just moves like HTTP to HTTPS, but I don't know. It'd be kind of neat to figure. It'd be kind of neat to try at least, just to see like if you could use another one, or if you could use a function proxy. I mean,
Yes.
granted, that may also be a lot of work to save $20 a month. I mean, it's $250. It's $250 a year.
Now remember,
So, like,
functions is it's something you have to maintain yourself. You don't get DDoS alerts. Oh, Caprine is saying you don't get DDoS alerts from Cloudflare, I guess.
So
Hey, if you are hitting 2 million requests per month, your $20 on the front door is not going to be the issue.
that's true because whatever. I mean, but
And it's
It
a
is a-
scalable service, right? So you don't have to worry, maintain, and support this.
it is a little more expensive than I thought it would be, to be perfectly honest. But I mean, whatever. It is
I'm
what
okay
it is.
with $22. I'll be okay with $22 for a commercial service that benefits from custom domain, but that's just me.
So what were we saying? We were looking at a million requests.
Yeah.
2 million requests. Million requests.
It's
so
2 million requests.
So 2 million requests through a consumption function proxy is 20 cents.
I mean, functions are my favorite service. Second.
I
favorite
do love functions. Now, granted, you got to figure out what to do about it, and there's a bunch of other stuff that it does.
Yeah.
Like the fact that these are priced per hour. Can you turn them off? Like, can you automate turning them on and off? Like the rules
But
for
it's a consumer service, so do you expect your service to be down? It's not a line of business app, right? It would be people trying to access your app all times of the day. So why would you turn them off? If it was Azure AD, I would say, well, everyone's at home between 5 p.m. and
well, it's just
6 a.m. in the
it's
morning.
metered per hour, which made me wonder. That's all.
Doesn't functions have limit per second calls?
Don't know.
No, they don't.
I
No,
don't
the
think so.
consumption one goes. I mean, there is an upper limit. There's a soft limit that we have. But if you're big enough and you need that kind of support, then you can reach out to the team and ask for that limit to be lifted. Very few occasions we came across a scenario where they had that issue. So it depends on what you're doing. There is a soft upper limit. I think it's 10,000.
Uh-oh. It's been updating something for 18 minutes. We've probably broken it, and I'm going to get a big bill, but whatever. No, I mean, it's cool, though. Hey, it works. I've got a custom domain now for my B2C. So
Wait,
I'm...
and it's only one. You haven't done and you used your own certificate. The one that is supposed to be provisioned by Front
Oh,
Door has
yeah.
not-
Did that ever happen?
Yeah,
Oh
that
no,
happened?
no, it is. It's working. So there you go. So you don't have to use your own certificate.
Snap!
So you can use a certificate, a front door managed certificate with this too. So yeah, so there you go. Anyway,
Hey, Tyndall, unfortunately, we can't see your link. It says it's what I'm running on Cloudflare for free. Yeah, I can't see the link. So Cloudflare
the
is
thing
another
is-
option, but we don't know if it's working.
well, like
Yeah.
like Vortex question, the hour meter is confusing. Is it only while front door is being used? Like, is it only when a request is being processed, or is it always on? And it feels like it's always on because I don't see any way to come in here and say like, hey, pause this routing rule or serverless this routing rule, right? Like, I don't see any way to do that.
Yeah,
And
I don't see
I'm
that
just-
either.
I don't know. Yeah, so
How
I
much,
don't know
how
what.
much did you pay for your cert, by the way?
$0.
Oh, is that because you used the Microsoft one?
Huh? No,
Did you use
I
the Microsoft one?
oh yeah, I used like I don't know, some discount thing or whatever.
Okay.
Certs are pretty cheap. I mean,
You
Let's
can use,
Encrypt and
you
all
can use
these.
Let's Encrypt, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suspect that whatever's happening here is the same thing that's happening with like the free app service certificates, because you get free certificates in app service now too for custom domains, and it's just domain validation, but that's totally fine. Like for the kind of stuff we're doing, that's perfectly. We don't need org validation anyway. So, yeah, but I think like what H3 is Tech is saying is I think sounds like there's some compute that stood up that's always cranking. Like, I'd love to be wrong. I just don't. It doesn't seem very clear. Azure front door rule pricing. Because if we don't have the rule, then it's just super cheap, right? Like the rule is adding $22 of the $22.20. So it's very little. So I don't know. We'll have to dig into it a little. But anyway,
So what you're saying is you want to use front door without using front door. I like it.
well, I don't really, but I'm not doing anything. Like, my rule is not doing anything except for it's just like a proxy pass, right? It's just proxy pass star, just passes everything through, which is. And does that? I mean, is it really a rule? Like, come on, we're gonna call that a rule? Like,
It's a configuration setting.
yeah, like it's okay. We'll just pass everything. Like, if I had some super complex stuff, I think it'd be really, really useful. But no, I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Just 20 bones for a big proxy seems like a lot.
Hey, does not Azure Key Vault has integration with Let's Encrypt or something to rotate keys automatically? Do I remember correctly, or am I making that up?
Key Vault has integration with a CA, but I don't think Let's Encrypt is one of those CAs. App Service. Somebody wrote some App Service extensions to do it, like with web jobs and stuff.
Yes,
which is
it's
pretty
built
cool.
in. I don't know if
Yep.
it's supported inside Azure Functions, because H3 Tech is saying he's using a timed Azure function to rotate every 90 days, which is how often Let's Encrypt certificates need to be reissued.
Yeah.
Now, it will be interesting to see if that app service extension also works with functions.
I don't know.
Cool.
I might try this later. I just don't feel like
Cool,
waiting
man.
for DNS to
That was
replicate
good.
again. Yeah, I think it was cool. So, anyway, well, we are. I don't know what's going on next week, Christos.
Let me see the planner, my friends, and I'll tell you in a second. Planner. We definitely have 2 streams. Oh no, next week we have 3 streams. Our friends from the IT team, Daniel and Stefan, are kicking off the Wednesday stream from next Wednesday.
Very
Same
nice.
time, same place. So
That's awesome.
make sure to join there. But in the meantime, let me see what we have on Tuesday. And is it even? Oh, we have the Monday workshop. We're still continuing that. So, oh wow, we have 4 streams on our channel next week. It's going to be a busy week. But on Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we're doing our workshop. We're continuing with Module 3. We've already done the 2. If you want to follow along and come and join us, then that's fantastic. It goes through the fundamentals and you can get certified as well in the end. Then on Tuesday we have Support coming again, and then we have Labrina Loving coming to. Labrina is an MVP. No, sorry, cloud advocate for our team, and she's coming to talk about serverless containers, messaging, and DevOps. I can't remember what the topic was.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
and we have
all right.
coming from support. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
It's,
good.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the topic will be B2C and SaaS solutions and challenges that ISVs are facing for Tuesday with Labrina, and she's fantastic. Make sure to join us. And then for Friday, we have Abel Wang, our rockstar cloud advocate for DevOps. He's coming to talk about secure DevOps and how it relates with Azure AD and Microsoft Identity overall, Key Vault and what have you. So it's going to be an exciting week next week with packed schedule. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Man, we're missing Thursday now. Should we stick somebody on Thursday? Just kidding.
No. All right. Well, hey,
We're good.
thanks for hanging out with us. Come hang out in the 45 Discord. The link's up there at the top. If you need help, you can go to that link to get some help. As always, come and watch the show. Come and hang out with us. Follow us on Twitter and ping us with your questions, and we'll be happy to help. And we hope everybody has a great weekend. And we'll see you then. We'll see you on the other side, right?
We'll see you. Yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Have a
Just
lovely
survive
day.
the weekend. That's all we have to
And a
do.
lovely
See
weekend.
everybody.
Yes.
Oh, whoa, we gotta raid somebody. Who are we gonna go raid?
Raid.
Who are we gonna get?
Man,
Who are we gonna get
we
raid?
always forget that. It needs to be on
I
our
know.
checklist.
I'm so bad at this. Who are we gonna get raid? Who's streaming right now?
Child codes. We've got Coding Garden. We've got InstaFluff. We haven't been to InstaFluff and Suburno.
Let's go to InstaFluff. We haven't seen our good friend over there in a long time, so let's go over
Yes.
to InstaFluff. Although, let's see, InstaFluff. Oh, I can't. Every time I try to do a raid, it doesn't allow. Maybe he doesn't allow raids because every time I try, it says something went wrong.
Oh,
How
you
about?
think so?
Let's go over to Ed.
Let's go to it.
Let's go see what Ed's up to. Let's see what kind of stuff he's building today. So,
He is building Blazor stuff. There you go.
Blazor. Well, somebody was asking about Blazor earlier. It's perfect. So, hey,
Yes.
let's go
Perfect
see what
subject.
Ed's doing. We're going to get out of here for the weekend. Send us your notes. Join the Discord. Come and hang out with us. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.